way down there. She's like, people are running. It's coming. She's all, I see it. I can hear it. She just passed the bridge.
Guys, y'all gotta get back beyond the base.
Thank God it's slow, because when it's slow, I don't have to track.
You can see the lights right in the bush.
All right,
Oh,
I'm gonna
here
hit
it is.
record.
Here it is. Thank you, ma'am. You don't have to film anymore. It's okay.
Yeah, good? Okay.
Yeah. Save your battery for sending it to me.
All right, so.
Let me turn my AirDrop on. I like how Union Pacific is like, hey, what's our newest rail car?
Oh, it's really good.
Plus the caboose at the end for all times
Oh,
before.
these pictures are so much better than the ones I took earlier. That's cool, and I think that might have been a Western Pacific caboose. So, to the left. I know.
The Union Pacific donated the locomotive. They received a request from the Southern California chapter of the Railway and Locomotive Historical Society. The Union Pacific reached out with a switch engine and grabbed the next engine in line, which was going to be scrapped, and that was this one. They very graciously cared for it, they painted it up, and they put parts on it. They reached into the supply room that had dozens and if not hundreds of whistles and bells and headlights, and they put it together, painted it up, and they shipped it to California.
I was going to ask you if that's fine.
So the whistle is not assigned to the locomotive, it just happens to be one. When we got the locomotive from them, they had connected it to an air source and they were blowing it. For those who had seen the locomotive in California, you probably had an opportunity to blow that whistle. Well, that's the same whistle that it was delivered in 1961. We haven't done anything to it other than maybe file a few little edges. There's a few little tricks you can do to make the whistle tune a little bit, but other than that, it's the same thing.
How long does it take to build one of these? Is it all built in one factory, or do they try things out?
How long did it take them to build this? And I'm going to guess just a little bit, but we're talking a matter of maybe a month or so. And it was built in an assembly line fashion in a massive industrial facility in Schenectady, New York. A really cool company name, American Locomotive Company, ALCO. They were building Sherman tanks alongside these things. There was a massive assembly line. The shop complex was just enormous and huge. They were building all the different components that came from other suppliers. General Steel Castings in Granite City, Illinois, made the wheels, made the engine beds. Many other suppliers made different parts. They made the boilers themselves, and they put it all together right there.
You're going over through a lot of historical sites and geographies, from the Feather River Canyon to Donner Pass. What are you looking forward to the most on this trip?
We're going over some really historical parts of the railroad, so I want to hand the microphone off and everyone can tell us about what is going to be excited and what they're looking forward to. Here's Jimmy Thompson.
Well, being a fireman in training, this has been my first trip actually getting to fire the locomotive, and my most awesome opportunity was going over the Kenny Y yesterday and just thinking about the Western Pacific trains that went over it and the 2882s and the Challengers that they ran, and thinking about that was my grandfather's generation, and I'm getting to relive history with the big boy going over Kenny Y.
I lived in California for 23 years, and I used to come up here in rail fan.
Bring your mic up to the...
I lived in California for 23 years before I hired out on the crew, and I used to come up here in rail fan, and I always loved coming up to the Sierras. This is one of my favorite spots, and chased the 844 back in 2012, the last time the Union Pacific had a steam locomotive over this line. And now I'm really looking forward to being, instead of a spectator, being part of the action. Being up in the trees and the smell of the Sierras, it's just I love it. It's one of my favorite places in the whole world.
I guess I'm really looking forward to going over Donner and that route into Truckee. It's a beautiful stretch of railroad. It's amazing to see the ingenuity and the time and the labor that was took to build the railroads, which built this great nation that we all enjoy every day. And I'm just very grateful to sit back and, think about what it took and the determination that it took to build this country, and it's something that every person should be proud of that's an American.
That was pretty good. I would say that my favorite part, actually, thus far, would be, I grew up as a rail fan kid in Colorado, and I always loved the UP. The big boys were my favorite when I was a kid. My dad got me a bumper sticker when I was like 5 years old. It happened to be the 4014, so here I am. But to be able to actually run the locomotive over Sherman Hill up Tree Track, from Harriman up through the Moore and Hermosa, and then down into Laramie, that was pretty cool, because there's not many people that can say they've done that in this day and age. So that was a special treat for me to be able to run this over Sherman.
I want to tell just a quick story here and embarrass everybody for a minute, but I'm very, very honored, very privileged to be a part of this operation and to be involved with these very fine people who are very hardworking, very skilled, very dedicated, and extremely passionate. So to have an opportunity to begin helping develop the next step of the process and share things that other people shared with me, and all the little tricks, and there are some little secrets about running a big locomotive, and there's a lot of information. Some of it does not come naturally. So if you can tell someone a little trick here and there, that really helps out. So Austin began his formal training as a locomotive engineer, and he's been making all the required trips running a train. And yes, he does an outstanding job running a regular train. Beautiful. But as part of that training, I will drive and pick him up. He's required to make 100 miles or so. And so I'm driving through Laramie, Wyoming. I pull over and watch him go by, and I have to tell you, I got a tear in my eye when I saw him go by and stick his head out of the cab. He was very proudly operating that locomotive, blowing the horn perfectly, just by the book. So this is a fun part. It's very fun. This is a special trip. Jimmy's drinking from a fire hose, learning how to fire that engine. There's a lot of nuance and a lot of things behind the scenes. He is the right person to do this. Kurt, John, Austin, they are the right people for this job. The devotion, the skill, the dedication, the passion, the competence that they have on the machine, it's only natural that they are the next generation. And I'm very proud to be a part of it. Sitting behind them, it's a day that I've really looked forward to, and it's exciting. It's really fun up there. Yes, it's a lot of hard work, but it's really fun, and I'm very proud of everything that they're doing. Excellent work. The question, is this the only tour of 4024? We are planning a second trip. We're calling it the Heart of America Tour, and it's going to be a big one. So we're just getting warmed up here. This is just under 3,000 miles traveling this route. The route that we'll be on the road for 57 days, and it's going to be a lot of miles. I'm tallying them up on my head, but it's 4,000 miles. And we'll see cities such as Omaha, Council Bluffs, Chicago, St. Louis, Dallas, Little Rock, Houston, Fort Worth, Kansas City, come across Denver. It's really going to be a trip. Yeah, it's in kind of the heat of the summer. We always kind of joke amongst ourselves, can't we run this thing in the spring or maybe the fall? Because it's, look at Kurt. Is this water streaming off of him? I always tell him, drink water, because if you go down, it's going to take 5 of us to pick you up. So these guys are very tough people, very passionate people, and so very talented, and they do such great work on the locomotive. Just turn around and take a look at that machine, and you can see the hard work that goes into it. And along with that, we've got the others folks back on the train, Bruce and Ted and Garland and Jim Leonard and Brent Malota. But we also have all of our colleagues here helping us. We've got our commissary, we've got the car department here with us, our bosses are here. This is a big production. We've got corporate communications, Robin. She's been with us since we left Cheyenne. So we have her set up in the baggage car. This is a very special privilege for all of us that the Union Pacific would undertake this big project.